on my face. I think it's already, oh, it's already recording. Okay, great. Apparently. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Katie. Some of you know me, some of you don't. If you don't, you're about to. I help oversee Y Reads. I work at the State Alliance with Ryan, and I'm her supervisor. I oversee all of our literacy initiatives across the state. So we have multiple, not just Y Reads. I do a lot of different things in terms of supporting out of school time. I do a lot of grant writing. So hopefully we'll get more money soon so we can get those kiddo numbers back up. But um, I wanted to do one of the trainings to kind of help Ryan. She's built these from scratch and she's done all of them, and so that can just be really tiring for an entire month straight. So I asked her if I could do the challenge one. Challenge is my favorite lesson to teach in terms of just, it's just a little, it's fun. I used to be really scared of it when I was learning. I taught middle school and high school, so I had to learn everything from scratch when I started this job in terms of just the, I learned it when I was little, right? But I had to relearn it, and challenge just scared me. I don't know if it was the name. It just scared me. But now, as I've seen it, I've taught it in programs and I've trained it, it's my favorite. So if you are nervous, it's okay. Um, Luckily, the first couple lessons are super simple. I will show you some of the nuances and some of the different fun things that come later. Um, but we're gonna keep it pretty simple today. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Give me just a second. Boop, boop, boop. See if I can do this. As if I don't work from home and share screen all the time. Let's see. Um, boop, 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 boop. Oh. Hmm. Okay, this is not gonna work. Because you guys can see the whole thing, right? Can you guys see my notes and everything? You see like the side? Yeah, we're not doing that. All right, let me figure this out. Hold on. I promise I can do it. Hold on. Don't worry. I am. Oh God, who's texting? Okay. Boop, ba-doop, 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 ba-doop. Where's it? All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, people are joining now. We love it. Okay. Okay. Oh God, there's a lot of people joining. Sorry, guys. Okay. Trying to manage. Those of you that don't know me, I'm very quirky. I don't take myself seriously, so just get ready for probably an entertaining training. For those of you that don't know me. So again, my name is Katie. I'm excited to be conducting this training with you. We're going to do challenge. We're going to keep it pretty simple. We have a wide variety of experience on this call in terms of challenge. We have some people that have been teaching it for 20 years and some people that have not taught it at all. So this training is designed with that in mind. If you have never trained it or taught it at all, or only a couple times, is going to be some homework. I mean, the homework can be for anybody, but um, there's a lot of nuances in this lesson. Oh my gosh, you guys, they're coming in like hotcakes. Um, there's a lot of nuances in challenge that do require a little bit more self-study, maybe than some of the other lessons.
You do.
Hello, everyone.
Where do you want to be moved to?
Let's make sure everyone is muted. Mute, mute, mute. Perfect. So yeah, so I'm gonna do my best to keep it high level, but there will be some stuff that you'll need to do to kind of grasp the full picture of the training. So just so you know, I will do my best to keep the chat up, but it's already not going great. So this is what we're gonna do today. We're gonna kind of just talk about challenge as a whole. talk about some of the new things that come with this level. I'm going to model a lesson, just lesson one, so super simple, but then I am going to preview a couple of the other lessons just to kind of show you how it progresses, because I think that's super important when you try to wrap your head around a new concept. Um, we'll look a little bit at the progress monitoring because it is a little different than what we've already gone over. And then just talk about some best practices and then next steps. So does anyone have anything dire that they want to say about challenge, about SIPs, about anything before we get started? We feeling good?
After watching the homework that that Ryan gave us, um, it kind of opened up to show you what challenge will be like. So watching that video, as a matter of fact, I watched it twice and then went to a couple other ones after that that were in the little highlighted section. And yeah, it was like, oh, okay, I see how this goes. So hopefully by doing that, it's going to show what you're teaching today.
I love it, Marlene. And thank you for actually doing that. We don't send these things for no reason. So shout out to you and shout out to fully participating in the experience. Okay. All right. So challenge is our red level. Let me get my little, I want to pin myself so I can see how crazy I look. Hold on. Boop, 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 boop. Challenge is our red level. Okay, mine is all crazy because I've been studying for this training, but it is like I said, one of our kind of levels that people start to, kind of worry about. Um, it's typically developmentally appropriate for second and third grade, but we know that a lot of our students, right, may not be at that level. Um, if you test a first grader that tests in challenge, they do not need to be in our program. It is designed really for those older kiddos. A lot of fourth grade, if you take fourth grade, will probably be in challenge, and then some of the third grade. So that's kind of the age range that we're going for. Um, these kiddos have mastered those, those basic spelling patterns, those single syllable, letter sounds. And we are kind of moving on to the next phase, which is more really focusing on the decoding. So words with multiple syllables, polysyllabic, that kind of stuff. So we're kind of moving from the more simple into the little bit more complex, right? Which is necessary when we look at teaching kids how to read. So um, we will assess them, using the placement test to see where they go. One thing about challenge is that unlike the other lessons where you can place into certain entryways, everyone starts at lesson one in challenge. So unlike beginnings where you can do 1, 11, 21, 31, right? Extension, you could do ER1, 1, or 16. Challenge, everyone starts at 1. Thank goodness, thank the Lord, because as the lessons go on, they do get a bit more complex. So that is one thing that can kind of ease your mind. If you do get a bunch of challenge kiddos, they're all going to be in the same spot. Oh, we've got more people coming. Okay. So this some of the things that you may see in challenge, like I said, is focusing on those syllables. So different strategies, how to break down words, right? Remember, right? 3 syllables. How can we kind of break that down? So in this level, we're really teaching those kids how to break down those larger words, which is really, really fun. We're focusing on patterns, right? So and one thing we'll learn is that not all patterns make sense, but there are some patterns in the English language that we can follow. And then we really do get to focus on those prefixes, roots, and suffixes. So if you're like, what the heck are you talking about, lady? Don't worry. Like I shared, I had to do a massive amount of self-study before I felt comfortable with this level, and I'm still not 100%, right? So it's always a learning. So definitely watch those videos. I'm going to send you guys some more homework. Ryan found a really great video that I think will really help. So, yeah. The other kind of thing, just to mention, is that there's a lot of kind of independent reading time in this. So the actual instruction time in challenge is a lot less because we really do want to give those kiddos a lot of time with reading. So I would say that's kind of challenge in a nutshell. A lot of the things that you will use are similar to what we've been seeing, right? So we all see our handy dandy manual. That's super fun. You will have the cards, right? I don't have any challenge ones here with me, but excuse me. You'll still have those cards. Oh my gosh, there's more people coming, you guys. Okay. You'll still have the different wall charts. Those can be printed in small version on the portal, which I'll show you here today. That's what I'm going to use. Um, and the different progress monitoring, I'll show you that. There's also an intensive multisensory instruction for SIPS handbook, which can be really good for this age group. So, or this grade group, not age group. So yeah, very similar tools, but they're a little bit more specific to challenge. So you will see like a more specific poster. Doreen and I were just talking about that. So yeah, super fun. Let's see in the chat here. I don't see anyone in the waiting room. Oh yes. Let me see. Sheehan? I don't see her in the waiting room yet. Michael, I don't see her, buddy. Let me see. Are you here, Maria? Oh, okay. All right. So we've seen this. I'm sure Ryan has shown you this before. This is kind of the continuum of phonics, right? So just a reminder, SIPS really focuses on that phonics aspect of reading, right? It doesn't really tap into comprehension, which is something we're going to talk about a little later because as the kids get into challenge, we really do need to focus a little bit more on that actual reading. Making sure. Okay, here's someone else coming. Okay. So in the beginning, we focused on kind of the simple alphabet, right? As we got into challenge, okay, you're here. Perfect. As we start getting, into extension, we focus more on the patterns, right? Getting more of those inflectional endings, those silent letters, some of those kind of more tricky things, different vowel patterns. As we get into challenge, we're dealing with all different multiple syllables, right? So there's 6 different syllable types. There's some rules that we're going to learn about vowels that not all rules apply, right? And we're gonna learn about that. And we're gonna learn about morphemes and kind of how that all works together. So this is a little bit more kind of higher level, but the kids that test in this are ready for it. And what we were talking about earlier, if you came in a little late, the kids really like this level. Like sometimes, I'm gonna be honest, beginning can be a little, right? I mean, if we've taught it, we know it's really good for doing what it needs to do, but it can feel, right? There's a lot of hand holding with those little books. And this is like, it's very different to teach beginning and challenge. So the kiddos will enjoy it. Does anyone want to share if you've taught challenge? Is that your experience? Um, Anyone want to share any experience they have with teaching challenge?
I will. So for me, challenge is much faster pace. And it builds words and it builds vocabulary because I've always taught you to understand what a little syllable means. You might understand what that big 5 or 6 syllable word means without getting too frustrated. So the kids like that. And when you go over like the sight syllables, we really hone in on, okay, what does this one mean? What does that one mean? What does pre mean? What does quad mean? I'm trying to think of other ones that are off the top of my head here, but I can't think of any. But the kids, once they understand what that frac, that's another one. I have a fracture. What does frac mean? Break. So it means something is broken. So as long as they understand that, they'll understand words like fracking, fracture, fraction, things like that. So bits and pieces, they like it.
Love it. Thank you. Doreen said that they do love it and that their volunteers like it as well, which is very interesting. It is faster pace. Um, there's just not as much of the crazy stuff. Let's see. Okay, perfect. Okay, so different daily, let me just make sure the chat, sorry guys. Okay, somebody says, I had several challenge kiddos last year and they were always really excited for their lesson. It is fun. Perfect. Love that. I agree. So a little bit of stuff that you'll see that's similar and a little bit that is different. So a typical challenge lesson really shouldn't take more than 20 minutes. There you will be releasing them, I think, almost every time to do independent reading. So the actual lesson part, I mean, sometimes it can take 10 minutes. Like I'm not exaggerating. There are 75 lessons. I don't know if Doreen or Amy can tell me the latest lesson you've ever taught. But I don't think anyone's gotten to like the 60s or the 50s.
Um, we've gotten to 50.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you
late
ever want
40s,
to, what'd you say, Amy?
the late 40s as well.
Okay. If you ever want to have a really fun time, flip to like lesson 60 and just take a look. It gets really, really crazy. Oh, 60. Okay. Yeah, you'll never finish the book. You shouldn't. But so we always start at 1, right? Typically, these are our 2nd to 4th grade students. There are 12 mastery tests kind of throughout, similar to the other 2 levels. You'll see some sections that say optional. I don't know if anyone that has taught this wants to come off mute. Do you guys always do those? Or how do you know? I always tell people just to do them, but I could be wrong.
I don't do the optional with students who have already done some challenge,
Mm.
but I think we also go by really who
Mhm.
needs it and who doesn't, which we get to know that pretty quickly, I
Mhm.
think.
Okay. So it depends. A lot of the optional sections are, especially the first section, which we'll go over in a second. It's pretty much a review. I think it's good to do the first couple lessons just to really make sure because as we all know, sometimes kids can be misplaced, right? So I definitely would recommend doing them for the first couple times just to make sure everyone has a basic understanding of, the vowels and the sounds. But then, oh, here's Maria. You can kind of, like Doreen said, kind of use your judgment as you get to know your kids. We really do want our program to be differentiated, right? So maybe some groups will need it and some groups won't. But as we get deeper into the curriculum, as you can see here in the first column, the curriculum kind of changes. So in the beginning, we're doing transformation with syllables, and then towards lesson 20, we start changing those to morphemes. So as we get deeper, it changes based on the kids' needs. One of my favorite sections is the sight syllable section, which I will preview for you later. And then reading by syllables. So teaching the kids how to break down words by syllable. It's just so fun. It's just so fun. So we do have guided spelling that looks a little different in challenge, which I'll preview with you later. And then yeah, like a lot of that fluency practice, independent reading. We really do want these kids to be reading as much as possible, right? So yeah. I know it looks like a lot, but it literally takes like 10 or 20 minutes. So I'm sure that she has gone over this every single time in the training, but it's very important for challenge as well as the other levels. For SIPs, we really do want the 4 C's to be present in our instruction. So we want our teaching to be clear. We want it to be concise, consistent, and we want them to be choral. Okay, choral is a little tricky, right? When you've got 25 kids and they're whatever, but as much as possible, we want them to be, responding chorally. So, all right, ready? K, at, cat. We want them all to be saying it at the same time. Concise. So the opposite of what I'm doing. It is not recommended, right, in SIPs, and this is just a reminder that we're getting sidetracked. We're seeing a squirrel and talking about our squirrel and our cat at home. We're really trying to stick to that script and keep it as quick and simple as possible. We're kind of guiding the students through, and we want to keep them in a specific lane so that we can get through the lesson. Clear. So the script is there for a reason, right? So we want to keep to that, keep it clear, and then consistent, right? So doing this, as most of you that have probably taught will see in the beginning, you're like, oh my gosh, after like a month, the kids learn the routines, and that consistency is super important. So the manual is built, right, to support. So we really do want to see people using those manuals. Make sure nothing's in the chat. Okay, perfect. Okay. So before we got a couple slides, I think, and then we're gonna talk about a lesson. But one of the things that kind of gets introduced in this session of lessons and challenge is the idea of vowel generalizations. So there are two different kinds of syllables, open and closed. This is the first time that we're going to kind of introduce this as a group, and the kids may already know this, right, from their teacher, but this is kind of the basic building block that we need to be successful in challenge. So wherever the vowel is in the word will determine if it's open or closed. So the general rule is if there's one vowel at the end, it's long. Okay, so it says its name. If it's not at the end, it's short. So it's closed, right? So a versus a. Okay, if it's at the end, it's long. If it's not, it's short. That is a very general rule, right? Just like I after E except after C, but sometimes that doesn't work, right? So this is a general rule, and we're going to teach the kids that. In the beginning, we really focus on just training them. Where's the vowel? Where's the vowel? And they will learn if it's at the end, it's long, it's open. If it's not at the end, it's closed, it's short, okay? If this is a new concept to you, you probably remember it from back in the day. I had to relearn all of this, so do not worry. We will send you some homework that will, and once you teach it, right, it'll get ingrained in you. So we really will prompt the students to ask us to answer where the vowel is, and that will help them kind of learn that rule. You'll see also a lot of corrections, right? I'm sure Ryan has pointed out in the manual those corrections. Here's some kind of examples of what we'll say. So if a student uses, right, the long instead of the short, we'll ask them, where's the vowel? We're going to always try to bring it back to that to make sure that they know that rule. So prompting them with those corrections, which one do we use, long or short? Where's the vowel, will help them with that. There will be some homework kind of related to this in the manual. So I would definitely recommend reading that once we send it. Does anyone have any questions or anything to say about this rule? And you'll see it, I'm going to model it in a little bit, but any thoughts? Okay, perfect. Now, of course, as we all know, all rules must be broken. So there's an exception, of course, right? English is tricky, tricky, tricky. And there is an exception that we teach the kiddos called the schwa. This is not something that SIP's made up. This is a basic rule in the English language. You will have some homework related to this. There is a great video that that Ryan has found. It's about 17 minutes. Because I told her, I said, girl, I'm going to be honest. The schwa is still something I'm a little unsure of. And so she found the 17-minute video. We're not going to watch it right now, but I will send it to you. Basically, there's a certain times where the rule doesn't work. Doreen said it's a great general rule that works until it doesn't. Let me see if I can I found a quick little video here and see if I can pull it up super quickly. This is the 17-minute video. But we're not going to watch that right now. Here's the quick one. And then I'll go into oh my gosh, let's make sure you can hear it. Hold on. Can you guys hear the video?
Let's find out how to make your pronunciation.
Could you hear that? Yes or no? Thumbs up. Yeah? Okay, great. Oh my God, I love it. Okay. So this will just tell you kind of what the schwa is, and then we'll kind of go into it a little bit more.
Find out how to make your pronunciation more natural. So in fast speech, we don't pronounce every word equally. Fast words are often pronounced as this sound, the schwa. It's a lazy sound, like this. Here are some examples. In natural speech, grammar words like articles, prepositions can be reduced to a schwa. A and of can become an becomes to becomes t. A cup of tea becomes a cup of tea. Also, the auxiliary have is often reduced to just Would have becomes woulda, should have, shoulda, and could have, coulda. You should have told me. I would have helped. And with going to, the to often becomes so we get gonna. And want to becomes wanna. So if you want to sound more natural, you're gonna.
Okay. So that is kind of in a nutshell what the schwa. Let me go back to present. The rule doesn't always work, right? So just because a vowel is in the middle doesn't always mean it's going to be right short. Sometimes if we know a short a, it's sometimes going to come out as an right? More of a kind of a hybrid of an a and a u sound. So I'll just kind of read here. One reason syllables are not pronounced the same in isolation as they are in words often involves unaccented or unstressed syllables in which vowels are pronounced as schwas. Schwas are designated with an upside down E and have the sound of a short U. In purpose, per is stressed and pus is not. So the long O in pus changes to a schwa and the syllable is pronounced pus, right? So if there's an E at the end, right? It should be like road. Oh, it says its name, but it doesn't in purpose, right? Purpose. So that is a schwa, right? It's a time where the rule does not work and the vowel is changed to kind of that sound. So other examples are salad, right? We don't say, I'm not even going to try it. We say salad, right? So this is kind of, I'm getting into the weeds here, but this gets introduced in lesson 7. So it's pretty quick after we get into challenge that we teach the kids what the schwa is, because kids like rules. We're going to spend the first 6 or 7 lessons teaching them the rules, and then we're going to say, just kidding. Sometimes that doesn't exist. But the kids really like this. They can start to identify the schwa. I don't want you guys to worry about this. I will send you the 17-minute video that will kind of go through it. We're not going to spend any more time on this today, but I have to kind of at least mention this when I'm teaching challenge because it does become a thing. So I'm going to go ahead, if you give me a second, and pull up the lesson. We're going to go through lesson 1. So if you are the type of person that wants to follow along, you can grab your manual, you can pull it up in the learning portal. I'm going to pull up the learning portal here and go to lesson 1. And we're going to do a little bit of modeling. So let me do that. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions or observations before we jump in here? Hi, Howard.
Hi. Hi, Katie.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, I'm not talking anymore.
Okay. Okay. So as you can see, 75 lessons. She's a big one. Make sure I'm pinned. Yep, perfect. This is, like I said, the only entry point. So as you guys know, or maybe you know, in SIPS, the entry lessons are always a lot longer because it's giving us a lot of background, a lot of extra support. So you will see that in here. I'm going to do my best to just kind of stick to the actual routines. Let me see if there's anything she wants me to do specific. Hold on. Okay. Okay, perfect. I want to make sure I'm supporting Ryan's vision for the training. Okay, perfect. Okay. Make it a little bigger. Nope, didn't work. One second. Okay. So as you've probably kind of figured out with SIPs, right? There's some prep work. So you either need to have your cards, you either need to have printed everything from the learning portal, you need to either have a whiteboard, right, with the letters. So make sure, right, you have enough time to prep and make sure you have everything you need. You can print everything from the learning portal. That's what I did just today because it was easy, right? You can print everything, you can write it on the board, however you kind of want to do it. One thing, actually, I'll tell you that later. Okay, perfect. Okay, so again, it gives you just a lot of hubbub, right? A lot of background, as we can see, just lots and lots of background. So the first section is optional. I do recommend we do this at least for the first, oh my gosh, sorry, hold on. This is not going to work. One second. Bear with me. Okay. I do recommend we do the optional sections for the first couple just to really gauge and make sure that our kiddos are where they need to be. The first section is just single syllable phonics. So we're just kind of reviewing with them what they should already know, right? I'm not going to read the background completely. We're just going to kind of go through it. So let me make it a little bigger. Okay. So, preparation, locate the sound card for each spelling to be introduced. You'll need the 5 short vowel cards. I just went ahead and printed this from the learning portal. I don't have my cards with me, but this should work for us. So we're going to do A, E, I, O, U, the short ones. So this is from extension, right? So our goal here is just to review this, okay? So, all right, guys, the first thing we're going to do is review our sounds. The cat is in the chair. The first sound of at is ah. Say ah. Ah. The sound is ah. The blank after the A means that when the A has this sound, it will not be at the end of a word. So there's a little invisible letter there, okay? That it's a placeholder. So this sound is ah. Sound, ah. Again, ah. Okay. Do a couple more. The cat is at the edge of the chair. The first, that sound is edge, eh, eh. Say eh, eh. The blank after that E means that when the E has this sound, eh, it will not be at the end of a word. So the sound is eh. Sound, eh. Again, eh. Okay. So you're going to do that for all 5, right? This section is optional. I at least recommend doing it every first couple, right? Just to make sure that they all know their sounds, because if the kids don't know, then maybe they're misplaced. But this is just a simple, right, reminder. But as you can see, we're already planting the seed by saying it's not at the end of a word, so it's short, right? So we're already kind of planting that seed here. And it just says repeat this process. So I only did 2, but we would do it for all 5. The next thing we're going to do is review the, it's pretty much the same thing we just did. We're going to review the spelling and the sound relationships. So it wants me to do this with the cards. I don't have the cards, so I just chose 2 and put it on my handy dandy whiteboard. So all we're going to do is ask the kids to say the sound. So similar to what we do in beginning and extension. Okay. Sound, eh. Again, eh. Sound, eh. Again, eh. Okay. All we do. The 5 vowels. They will know this, right? Because we just taught them that the underline means that it's short. So ah, etc. Here's a quick video.
Sound. Again.
So all we're doing is refreshing their memory, right? They should know this, but it's just a review. So that's the first couple sections. I don't know if Ryan points this out, but I think it's worth noting. You'll see that there's all these different notes in here for us as teachers, right? So there's different corrections that show us how to correct the students if they get it wrong. So let's say they said I, right? It literally tells us here how to correct them. So please, when you're teaching, especially in challenge, it's super important. Just go ahead and study those corrections, because it literally will show you how to correct. There's also sometimes these little ELL notes. So it gives us little kind of built-in tips. I know some of us have a very heavy ELL population. Looking at you, Collier and First Coast. So these little kind of built-in tips will really help as well. Okay, so those are just basic reviews, right? Probably seems pretty similar to beginning and extension. Any questions about that before we get into a little bit more fun routine? Okay. Luckily, the routines are similar to beginning and extension. They're just a little different. So the next one we have is reading a mixed list. So we've kind of done that before. We are going to be applying their knowledge of the sounds to reading different words and syllables. Okay. So one cool thing about challenge is that they give us different options. So as you remember, in beginning and extension, there's sometimes an A and a B list, and those don't really have a difference in ability. You'll see in challenge, they build in these little sections where you either have option A or B or C. That comes in lesson 6, which I'll show you, but here you can see you have 2 different options. You have easier words and harder words. So these are built-in opportunities for you to differentiate your instruction depending on your groups, right? Because challenge Everyone starts at 1. You may see a larger variety in ability than maybe in other groups. So these built-in opportunities will help you kind of, if you have some kids that need more of a challenge, it's built in here for you. So I have my words here printed. So all we're doing is having them read. Okay, so they're just reading a mixed list. One thing that's kind of fun to note is these are words and syllables. So some of these are not real words, right? They're just syllables. And it becomes fun. This is kind of the fun part of challenge, where they just get to say silly words. So, all right, next we are going to read some words and syllables. So I'm going to point and you're going to read when I say read. Read. Bin.
Bin,
Thank you. Read.
sacks,
Read.
pod,
Okay, I'm going to go to the fun. Read.
neg,
Neg. Yep. Read.
sig,
Read.
hug,
Okay, perfect. So as we notice, right, they're all short. Okay, so we're kind of reinforcing that with them. It gets pretty fun when we get to I'm already laughing looking at the harder syllables of snig. Snig is a funny word. I don't know. You can't have a bad day when you're saying these words. When you're saying snig and flom and sned and spad, it's just a good time, right? And the kids are, having a little bit of a good time with it too. But this routine is really just to show them, make sure that they can read. They know that they're short, right? Because it's not at the end. So that is basically the purpose of this routine. So we just go through. You don't do all of them. You can choose easier or harder. If you want to do them all, it's not going to hurt, but the purpose is for this to be super quick. Does anyone have any questions about that routine? Anything that you've done when you've taught it that would be helpful to mention?
And just when I get to those words that don't really mean words or they don't mean anything, I tell them, think Dr. Seuss.
Ooh, good
So-
one. That's good. And it's fun, it's just fun. And after a long day, that's what we all need. So, okay, perfect. So far we're quick. We're moving, right? Moving and grooving. We see some corrections here. We'll keep it going. All these are corrections. Okay. So let's watch a correction for one of the mixed lists that we just did.
Read. Sound. Again. Read.
Nice. So, oh gosh. So the manual is super helpful because it does have these built-in videos. I have been in situations, I have never been a coordinator, but I've had to do a lot of visits, and there have been many a time where all the volunteers call out, all the staff calls out, and your girl has to randomly teach like challenge 30. And I'm like, these videos have saved my life. So please, please don't forget about them. And they're very helpful, especially when you think of the corrections. Okay, we have another optional section here, section 2. I would do these as much as you feel the need to. Definitely the first couple times as you're learning your kiddos. So here we are going to do a review of consonant and vowels, just to make sure that everyone knows the difference. So it says here, if your students cannot accurately identify, please conduct this review in lessons 1 through 4. So it tells us exactly what to do. So we're going to do it. We're going to pretend that we need that help here. Okay. All right. So I've got look how easy this is printed from the portal. Could also write it on the board, but. All right, next we are going to look at some different letters. There are two different kinds of letters. There's vowels and consonants. Some letters of the alphabet are vowels and some are consonants. These 5 letters are always vowels, are A, E, I, O, U. What are the 5 vowels? A, E, I, O, U. Perfect. We call everything else a consonant. What do we call the other letters? Consonants. As I point to each letter, I want you to tell me whether it is a vowel or a consonant. Vowel, consonant, vowel, vowel. Do you guys like when I pretend to be a kid? Oh, vowel, tricked you. Yep. Consonant. Okay, great. Great, great, great. That's literally it. That's all you do there. Just a refresher, just a reminder, because this will come up later. Okay. All right, next we are going to do a vowel sound review. So let's see here. Boop, 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 boop. What do we need? The wall chart. Okay, perfect. I don't think I have the long one here. Hold on. Uh-oh. Where's the long one? Oh yeah, I do. Just kidding. Okay. So something that I don't know if this is in the other levels. I think it's just the challenge one. This is what we've seen in extension, right? So we see short. So e. Okay. In challenge, and maybe this is an extension, I just don't remember, we start to do the long sounds. So A, E, I, O, U. Okay. So this is what we're going to kind of introduce to them in this section. As you can see, we're kind of just building, we're building the blocks here. Okay. So this would hopefully be on a big poster, but you could also print one of these out. I'll show you where all this stuff lives in a second. And you can have them follow along in their folders if you had this printed. So, all right. So we went over the vowels, right? What were they? Have them tell you. Sometimes they have short sounds, right? So we've gone over those. Let's go over those one more time. The cats in the chairs remind us of the short vowel sounds. So the cat is at the chair. The a in at is short. What's the short sound of this vowel? A. Similar to the e that we talked about earlier, the edge of the chair, the e is short. What's the short sound of this vowel? E. Perfect. The cat is in the chair. I. The I is short. What's the short sound of this vowel? I. Okay, it says repeat. We're not going to do that. Now, some can be short and some can be long. So the vowels in A, E, I, O, U have other sounds which we called long. They sound like their names. These pictures also remind us of the sound of long vowels. The A in cake is long. Cake. What's the name of this letter? A. What's the long sound of this vowel? A. Remind them that it says its name. They should know that if they're in this level, right? Just based on just schooling. But this word is tree. The E in tree is long. You can, have a fun tree, right? What's the name of this letter? E. What's the long sound of this vowel? E. Okay, so we're reviewing and then we're practicing. Okay. So this is where it gets kind of fun here. So, all right. So we think we got it? Okay. So I'm going to tell you the name of a vowel sound, and you are going to say the sound. Okay? So for example, if I say long E, you would say E. Okay, perfect. You guys ready? All right. Long A.
A.
Nice.
A.
Long O.
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 Short A.
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 Yep. Ah, good. Short I.
I.
Eh.
I.
Nice. Okay, perfect. See? So we're practicing. You could do that however you want, you know, chorally, you could have each kid do one. Yeah. So we introduced it and then we practiced it. Any questions about that? I do recommend probably printing one of these. Take it to them, give it at home, have it in their folder. Because this is just a really good, this poster is a good little just rule of thumb here. So far, not too scary, right? We're just kind of reviewing. Okay. All right. And actually, we're almost done. So with this. All right. The next thing we're going to do is read open and closed syllables. This is where it does get a little fun. You're like, you've said that every time and it's not fun yet. So when does it get fun? Right now. Don't worry. Okay, so I printed this from the learning portal. It says, in advance of the lesson, write these on the board in the following 2 words, following 2 columns. So I have that here. I just want to read this background because it's important. And again, this is why like studying and reviewing is so important. This might feel like a lot as I'm just throwing it at you, but when you're teaching it, you'll take the time to read the background and really make sure you're on pace. But it says, in this introductory lesson, which is only taught once, the students learn the 2 critical generalizations for pronouncing the 2 most common types of syllables. These generalizations are: one vowel at the end is long. One vowel not at the end is short. Okay, so we taught that. We mentioned it earlier. These generalizations also apply to single syllable words such as we and wet. Okay, so this is a good way to kind of show them. Typically, right, there's always an exception. If it's at the end, it's long. We, go, high. I'm just saying this to you guys, right? And then if it's squished, it's typically short, okay? Or if it's not at the end. So I am going to show you one way to decide when a vowel is long and short. Okay, it says have the students chorally read the words and point out that all the words have the vowel at the end and that they're all long. Do the same with the other one. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now just to show you. And then we'll have some fun. Okay. All right, so we're going to read these words. Ready? We, go, high. What's one thing you notice about all these words? They might say they're short, there's 2 letters. Okay, the vowel is at the end. And what we notice is they all are long. So we, E says its name. Go, O. High, I. Okay, so when the vowel is at the end, the vowel is long. Now let's read these words. Wet, on, it, run. What do we notice about these words? Good job. They're short, right? So ah. So when the vowel is not at the end, it is short. Okay, so we're just kind of teaching them that. And then we're going to kind of do an activity with it. So we'll have this kind of ready to go. We'll go here. For some reason, my mouse doesn't like that I'm doing this. Okay. This is where it gets fun, actually. Okay. So it says, write the following list on the board in advance of the lesson. You'll have the students read each column and then across. So here we're kind of showing them how different sounds and syllables change depending on where the location of the vowel is. So, all right. So remember, when the vowel is at the end, it's long. When it's not, it's short. So we're going to do a little activity with this. Where's the vowel? The end.
And
Which one will we use?
Long.
Long. Is this long or short? Long. Sound?
long.
A.
A.
Good. Read?
They.
They.
Good. Where's the vowel? You guys don't have to, it's fine, it's a lot. Where's the vowel at the end? Which one are we going to use? Long. Is this long or short? Long. Sound? E. Read? V. Okay, you're going to do that all the way down. And then follow the instruction. Yeah. I just want to make sure it doesn't. Yeah, okay, that's it. Okay, perfect. All right. And then we're just going to kind of, you know, they kind of want you to do, I think, each one you'll read, yeah, each column and then each row across. We'll do one more just to kind of show you. All right. Where's the vowel? Not at the end. Are we using long or short? Short. Sound? Ah. Read? Av. Okay. So you're going to go down each one, and these are all short too, right? Because they're not at the end. So what you can kind of start to do, and you know, you can take this as much or as little as you want. They, av, vav, right? So we're watching the transformation of the syllables of the sounds as we add or remove letters, okay? So all this wants you to do is go down each one, and we're teaching them if it's at the end, it's long. If it's not at the end, it's short, okay? So where's the vowel is one of those things that you're going to start to kind of say a lot because we want to kind of show them, you know, where it is. So let's see if there's a video here. No. Okay. No video. Okay. That's fine. All right. The last part of the lesson is independent reading. So, there is no real rule for this, which is sometimes one of my biggest pain points with challenge because at least with extension we have the purple books. This, I'm going to be very honest, this section gets skipped and it's very bad when it gets skipped, okay? Because they need the time, if they're second, third, fourth graders, they need the time to start learning just how to just reading, right? Putting all the things that we're teaching them into play. So it keeps it very vague. Have the students read books at their level for 30 minutes. Okay, sometimes we don't have that much time, right? But you need to have enough, you know, you should have books in your room that are age appropriate. You can either select the books for the students or you can, you know, have them select them on their own. There is an entire kind of fluency instruction in this. I don't know how many people actually do the fluency. Doreen or Amy, do either of you have any insight in this? And I won't, you're not in trouble if you say you don't do it. I want to get a gauge here.
I don't track their fluency other than listening to them read.
Same.
Okay, that's perfect. That's great. So I would say everyone should do kind of what their kids need. There is an entire kind of fluency thing in here. I'll show you where that is in the learning portal if you want to sit there and read and do fluency kind of assessments. I don't think in our program, we have a lot of time to track that. But the most important part here is that the students are reading. Okay. So I'll show you here in the learning portal, there is some, where did they go? Hold on. Let me pull it up here. There are a lot of resources. If you don't have access to this yet, please drop your email in the chat and I'll make sure you get access. I'm sure Ryan has said that every time, but so if you go to the learning portal, you'll see under general resources, you'll see a reading log. Okay, so this is something that you can print out. You can have them, track. You could give this to them at home, right? If their parents kind of need that support. There also should be the fluency record here. So if you are one, and some kids might need it, some kids might not, right? But if you do decide to track their fluency, there's a record here. And if anyone ever does decide and wants kind of a separate training on that, we can definitely do that. But it literally just says that they will need to read. Okay, so you will see this in every single lesson, and this should not be skipped. Okay, the thing about challenge kids is that they need comprehension and they need reading. Okay, so this 10 or 15 minutes that we're doing with them in SIPS is great, but we really should be allowing them time to read, and we really should be doing a lot of work with them on Raz and other platforms that you're using to allow them to really dig into the comprehension. This is an area of growth, I think, for our program. And I know we're working to kind of streamline that, but that's kind of my TED Talk for the day, right? So on top of doing this SIPS, they should be learning vocabulary, which this helps them with. They should be doing different comprehension strategies with main idea, details, right? All the different aspects of reading, cause and effect, all the different things that they're going to be tested on, right? We should be doing that, and that's not included in SIPS. So I'm going to show you kind of a couple more just kind of things, just to kind of show you how the lessons progress. So the first section that we did in lesson 1 was we're doing the vowels, right? As you can see now, it kind of pivots to more sounds. So shh, right? We did learn that in extension, but as you can see this, and this is the optional section, so you can kind of use this as your discretion. As you can see, the words, I'm just showing you, right? The words start to get a little larger. Okay, so you're seeing the progression as we get deeper into the lessons. Similar, we're showing them the transformations. Here's just my favorite part. And again, I'm just showing you this. I'm not gonna model it, but once this hits, this is not good. Hold on, sorry. The learning portal is there we go. So we start to get into syllables, right? And different things that we teach them, kind of like sight words, right? Where there's certain words we just want them to be able to read. It's the same with syllables, okay? So these are the kinds of things that you will get to teach them as you get deeper into challenge that will allow them to expand their vocabulary and learn to read, okay? So it's just really fun once you get into it. Sorry, this is like the most terrible platform. Okay. It's like my mouse doesn't like it. Let me see. And then here, it's just so fun, you guys. We get to start, oh my God, I'm gonna have to file a complaint against this. I'm not gonna zoom in. We get to start reading with syllables. Okay, so we start showing them how to break down a word, how to, pay per. We just taught them long A at the end. We read by syllables, okay? So you'll see as you get deeper into challenge, the focus is really, like I said in the beginning, teaching them how to break down words into syllables and the different rules about the sounds. Okay. So it's just super fun. Does anyone have any? I'm going to go through the progress monitoring assessment in a second, but does anyone have anything they want me to point out or show or redo? Or Doreen or Amy, any like other kind of big generalizations that I
Just one thing, you saw
missed?
here, you have this A, B, and C
Oh, yes,
uh,
yes. Let me
on
show
those
you.
night
Yep,
syllables.
let me show
And
them.
you might have A, B, and C on words where you sound out the syllables. It breaks it down to 3 different levels. A, of course, being your lower, B, middle, and C higher. If you're going to use this, make sure that when you test that child on mastery tests, that you have the right mastery test that coordinates with either A, B, or C. There's 3 different mastery tests.
Yep. Good segue, Amy. I'm going to show you this now.
I learned the hard way. Let's put it to that way.
Good segue. So as I mentioned in extension and beginning, there is an A and a B list, but it's kind of like do it however, really just use A, but if you want to switch it up, you can use B. These are very specific. So there's an A, a B, and a C. And those correlate to their mastery. So I'll show you that here in a second. Ryan just messaged me, how'd it go? And I said, I'm still going. So maybe that means I'm taking too long, but I don't think so. So we're having fun here. So let me show you the progress monitoring. Okay. Great segue. Oh, A. Oh, there is an A, B, and a C. Okay. So Amy, how do you know which?
Most of my kids are 4th graders that are in challenge, or 3rd graders, like middle of the year. So that last level, C, is typically, I think, 4th grade level language words that they're going to bump into in 4th grade. That you'll see the 3 different lists. That last one is much more complex,
Yes.
and the words are bigger that they read. Some of them are more scientific.
Yep.
And that's what they're getting into, science, history, and all these different subjects when they're going 4th and 5th grade. So that's what's preparing them to read those words. So most of the time, as a matter of fact, most lessons that I have printed are all C level.
Okay.
According to the homework last night, it said list A was for 2nd graders, list B was for 3rd graders, and list C is 4th through 12th.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yep. That's what Doreen just put in the chat. Thank goodness you guys are here and you read your homework. But it also depends on the students, and that's what Doreen is saying, right? We know that our students are not reading on grade level. So I think there may be some flexibility in that. Like Amy said, most of her students are 4th grade because that's just where they're at, right? If we some of our 2nd grade students are still in beginning, right? So every school is very different in terms of the students that they refer, but typical rule can be A for 2nd, B for 3rd, C for 4th. And then I would say you guys know your students best. So, if you need to have a 4th grader who needs this lower list, that's okay. That's why they're in our program, right? So that's one thing let me go back to it. That's different. You'll have 3 different mastery tests based on the student's kind of grade or ability. So these are pretty similarly done to the other ones. Anything else I should be mentioning here, Amy or Doreen, about what's all this? Reading entire words. Let me just
Well,
write
that's
it
where they
out.
have to give you 3 different things. One is identify where the syllable is broken.
Mhm.
Then they read each individual syllable correctly, and then they read the whole word. And then you tally on the bottom the number they get right, and you see good progress or
Yep.
fair progress.
Okay.
And you'll see, okay, is this student having trouble identifying where the syllables break? Are they having trouble just actually applying the right sound to the syllable? Some of them can read the whole word by themselves, and they know the word. but they get the other two, the first two components of the word wrong. So it's just another thing where you can see where the problem issues or where the problem is with that student.
Yeah. And this doesn't happen until lesson 35, you guys. So don't worry. A lot of it in the beginning, as you can see, is just reading the syllables, right? So a lot of the time, those rules that we just taught them will suffice. Okay. As you get deeper into this, as you can see, there's A, B, and C. Let's look at C. Oh yeah, C gets a little nuts here. Oh yeah. As you get in, look at these words. That's lesson 75 though,
Fun.
you guys. Don't worry. I can barely read these words sometimes. As you get deeper into this, Ryan is available. I would definitely suggest Ryan over myself. Is available for coaching, for instructional support. She did teach, she was a coordinator for almost 8 years, and she had a lot of challenge kids. So as you get, this is not like a one and done training and homework, right? As you get deeper into this and you start to need support, that's what we are here for, okay? So don't worry. Okay. I kind of already pointed this out earlier, but there are some built-in ELL supports throughout the lessons. There's these best practices that you can find in your book as well. A lot of this is already kind of built into how SIPS is, right? But the visual aids, right? Having those lines, using your finger, right? Making sure you do that for all the kids, but especially for your ELL babies, right? Teaching them just those cues, that visual, a lot of modeling. So if you have, mostly ELL students, making sure that you don't skip that modeling section of the script where you're saying, you're making sure you're modeling it. You may even want to go a little deeper and kind of go through a couple practice ones for them, right? So you may need to kind of provide extra support when you have those ELL babies. Having opportunities to practice, right? So that's where that choral part really comes in. It's never going to be perfect. You're always going to have those kids that yell, and they're like the talk of the town. And then there's those babies that aren't feeling, super confident. The purpose of having them do it together is to make them feel more comfortable and make them in a safe environment. So especially for those ELL kids, our students, that's going to be key. And then reviewing frequently, right? So making sure maybe not skipping those optional sections for the ELL students, and making sure that we're reviewing. Maybe, you even have an additional station or a volunteer that's helping kind of review that stuff, if they need extra support. Here are some tips. And then I'll see if anyone else has any tips. And of course, I'll send this to you guys and we'll send you the recording. Your manual really is key, especially when you're starting out, especially with your volunteers, right? Using that manual, it's built for a reason. It will really help. Allowing extra time for the first couple lessons. It's going to be clunky, right? And just especially with challenges, you're teaching them new routines, always leave a little bit more time. But as you get going, it will take you about 15 minutes to do a challenge lesson. Like it will be very short. Tracking your students' lessons and your growth, especially important in challenge because like we said, there's those A, B, and C lists. So making sure that you're paying attention to their needs and where they're at is super important. I'm not going to go through all of these, but utilizing self-checks. There's different kind of opportunities, and they have this in all the lessons where they say, stop, think. How are you doing? How are your students doing? Those things are built in, like I said, for a reason to give you support. So make sure that you're using your manual, you're studying, and all that. It's okay if the students need you to reteach. It's okay if some students need extra support, right? Especially in challenge, we're going to see a little bit more of a variety of students just based on the one entry point. So be flexible with yourself, be kind to yourself as you're learning challenge. Does anyone else have any tips that have taught challenge that may be helpful for the group? Let's see. Oh, good. Doreen says, we ask for whisper voices during choral response. That helps the wrong answers not often be so noticed by other students. That's a great one, Doreen. Eventually over time, you know, you'll build a community in your room where we learn that it's okay, but there's always going to be those couple of kiddos, right? So, encouraging, just kind of inside voices. I think that's a good tip.
Well, we've also learned that sometimes we'll have those students who are super confident and they will, because they love SIPs, they love challenge so much.
Yeah.
So they're like yelling out.
Yeah.
And what happens sometimes with us is that they yell something out that's not the correct thing, and then everybody else just follows suit.
Yeah.
So, not just that it doesn't make the wrong answer so noticeable, but it doesn't let one student's answer, kind of take over.
It also probably decreases chaos in the room because
So
depending
much.
depending on the size of your room, right? It's already a lot in there. You've got stations, and so I'm sure it's just a good best practice overall. Any other tips in relation to challenge or in SIPs in general? Because this is, one of our last SIPs trainings for a little while. So
Just to make sure that they understand what those big words mean.
Mm.
Even if it's breaking it down to the syllables, okay, what does the syllable mean? So what do you think this word means? Maybe use it in a sentence. And a lot of times there's a section in challenge what's more phemic transformation, I think.
Yeah.
Where you just add endings to the word and it's changing from noun to verb to adjective,
Yeah.
and it's the same word basically. You're just
Yeah.
adding a choo-choo train of syllables behind it, and it's changing completely the way it's used and what it means.
Yep. It does get a little crazy. They do encourage you to teach what those prefixes and suffixes mean, but like Amy's saying, really making sure that they do, because this is how we're teaching them to read, right? We're teaching them what these, syllables or prefixes or suffixes mean, and then that will help them learn how to read, right? So challenge is fun because we're really getting to finally like just the meat of it. But I want to just clarify again that they need time to practice and they need time to do comprehension more than any other group of students. Maria said during fluency time, I had them do reading comprehension with me. In the beginning, they finished up on their own if they didn't finish. Love it. Yep. So making sure that you have that intentional time to do additional practice. SIPS is not our end all be all, right? It teaches a specific part of reading, but there's a whole nother part that we need to focus on too. So, okay. So different concepts to remember. Just kind of quickly go through this. The different relationships between the vowels, right? So you're going to see that a lot. The different vowel and consonant review, making sure, right, that just going to make that super automatic for them. And then those key generalizations of the open and closed, those are really our building blocks and things that you're going to see throughout this that will help you get to those kind of more complex things that Amy was just talking about. I am going, I don't know if, I guess Ryan will probably send it, a follow-up email with the training, the recording, and then your homework. There is, like I said, a 17-minute video that I will send that will teach you kind of about the schwa. We didn't really get super into that, but it's something I always joke. I'm like, I still don't even know what the schwa is, but she sent me this video and I finally get it. So I'll send you the video. But I really just recommend that everyone take some time to go through your manuals, especially in your appendices. It will teach you about the routines. It has all these videos here where you can practice. It teaches you kind of the science behind it. It will, where is the scope and sequence? It's E. Nope. Where are you at? Why aren't they labeled? Here we go. The scope and sequence is always a great thing to look at for any level. It will show you what level, what lesson you're at, and then the different things that you will start to identify in those lessons. So this is a really, really great way to guide your other instruction as well. So if you know you're introducing these syllables of bull, gull, and pull, maybe you can find a story that they can read that has a lot of words like that using those syllables that are introduced. Maybe there's a comprehension activity that can tie into that, right? So just kind of, this is here, one for you to kind of brush up on your own things, but you can use this not just in this, but in other lessons, really as a guide on, what other supports can you be giving outside of this, and what can you study, as the teacher. There's a lot of different resources on the coordinator drive, on the learning portal. If you don't have access, please give me your email. And let's just kind of have a quick discussion. Is there anything that you are worried about with Challenge? Any other resources that we can provide you? Any those of you that have done it, any tips on the logistics or the materials management or anything? My big tip would just be really to prep, because SIPs can just become a lot with the materials, all the papers and the cards, especially if you're having your volunteers do it too. So it does take a bit of, that prep work. So some next steps, and we'll send this out, in the follow-up email probably tomorrow. Definitely read everything in the manual. I didn't read everything to you guys today because, we wouldn't have had time, but definitely practice your lessons. I say this, and it's not a joke. When I got hired, I don't have children. I set up my dogs and my stuffed animals and I practice to them, okay? And I know that sounds funny. If some of you have kids, you can practice to them if you've never taught SIPs before, but it helped me so much. I would also record myself and watch myself and then show other coordinators or show my boss, and I would get feedback. Okay. So if you're this is your first time, if you want more practice, Ryan and I are here. If you want us to give you feedback and record, there's other coordinators on this call that I'm sure would be happy to help you as well. So definitely practice, ask questions, and it does take some study. So just kind of know that. Does anyone have any final thoughts or questions? Yes, Doreen said the students get it quickly. Even if we're floundering too, they don't know. Except, fun fact, my first ever site visit that I did, it was at Parkside. I think I told Michael this before he was there. And of course, all the volunteers called out and all of the staff called out. So it was just a coordinator, and there was 20 something kids. And she, poor girl, she was like, can you help me run a group? And I couldn't say no because I'm supposed to be there visiting and kind of auditing, right? So I didn't want to say I had never really done this before other than to my stuffed animals. So I was like, sure. So I did it, and it was like challenge, like, I don't know, 15 or 20. It was like these two kids, and they were so freaking smart. And I was like, okay, guys, like, I've never done this, whatever. They schooled me so hard, but they were so sweet because they were like, no, no, actually, like, we usually do it this way. And they helped me because I was getting some of the routines wrong, and they helped me. And so, to Doreen's point in the chat, they will catch on super quickly. They were even able to teach me, and I do feel like that's why I became so comfortable in challenge, because they were like, no, Miss Katie. And I'm like, okay, thank you. But um also, if it's the kids' first time too, they don't really know better either. So you have some time to get used to it. I didn't have time to get used to it. I got thrown right in, but I do think that that helped me in the long run. So I'll make sure we get the follow-up email and the recording, everything posted to the drive. And feel free to reach out. I know Ryan's just a phone call away. Feel free to email me as well. I'm not as much the SIPS expert, but I do feel confident in my ability to help you guys with really anything related to Y Reads. So always email me, call me if you need me. And I would go spend some time studying. And I will end with that. Unless anyone has a question, they can stay on. But I hope everyone has a great, great rest of your week. It's Friday tomorrow, so that's great. But thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you for your patience with my tech problems. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks, Katie. It was
Thank
awesome.
you guys.
Was.
If you have a question, I'll stay on for a second. Thank you.
By any chance, do you know if Ounce is up and running again? Did they get
Girl.
everything fixed?
Girl, I'm out here paying these people, so let's see. You should have gotten your login, did you?
Oh, yes, got the
But
login,
nothing's in it.
but we were told to wait until this week because they were fixing some bugs still. They said don't put anything in yet, and so that's what I'm holding off on. And I was just
Okay.
wondering if we have any update on that.
Let me ask Ryan, but I don't think so. But if it's not fixed by tomorrow, we're gonna get some phone calls. I'll have to drive up there because we pay them a lot of money. They did give us a good deal this year though because of our budget situation. But I will ask Ryan, and I'll make sure she sends an email with an update today. Do you already have
Perfect.
students?
Oh yeah, I've had students. And
Oh!
I've got all my my camp from summer camp. I have all that to be put in yet because I did summer camp in July. So yes, I have all my registered students, the referrals, everything. So I'm
Oh
just waiting.
no.
No, it's no problem. But
You're,
I'm going away next week. I'll be in California next week. So it's like, oh, come on, let's get this in before I leave. Let's
I
get this in before I
know.
leave.
You're stacking up. You're gonna have like a backlog.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. That's
No,
not a
it
bad
is.
thing to have backlog.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay. She said they should be able to enter info, but I haven't heard back from Brandon.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
So just
I
do it.
appreciate
Maybe do a little bit and then see what happens.
it. Okay.
You know?
All right. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Any other questions before we hop off? Alrighty. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. Thank you.